Okay, so I think it's time to head out from the inn. Okay, my trusty map in hand, my hand-drawn map. So I believe this will go to a Gobbo village to the left. So I think we keep going west. There's a famous song about going west. We're going to do it. The road's uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight, rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. We'll keep an eye out for any sign of life. The ruined village. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. We can either approach the building near the field, take a closer look at the gate, or move forwards. I want to go around, because this is the Gobbo village, I believe. Building near the field. I don't want to go near the burnt building by the field. Will lead you to the village. Can I just move forward? Can I just not go to the village? Is that what this means? Because on like the little map here, like I want to take this left road. I want to go west. Go west. I hope this means forward. Go west. Where do I want to go? Explore the southwest part of the village. Inspect the fields. Inspect the pastures to the southeast. I'll return to the southern gate. I want to go around it. I don't want to go in the village. Pasture fields. I explore the southwest part of the village. I return to the southern gate. I don't want to go in. Approach the burnt building, I suppose. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. Hang on a minute, can I just leave? No, I have to deal with this. Take a closer look at the gate, I guess. The palisade is in good shape, and the gate wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The use of force must have been huge, but you'd expect it would push the entrance into the village, not away from it. Hang on a minute. So something tried to escape the village. Something huge tried to get out. You don't see the marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage, you can't really tell. I don't want to be in the village. Pasture or fields? Inspect the fields, because I don't want to go in the village if we can avoid it. You're surrounded by what looks like a field ploughed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There are a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field? Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? A path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. We don't have a way to investigate, apparently. Palisade to the west. Okay, this is what we want. The tracks of human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects and worms. A good source of animal goblin food. Though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. Fair enough. Can I leave? Nope, I still have to stumble around here. You feel a slight aching in your stomach. Does this mean I'm hungry? No. I'm 3 or 4 nourishment. Unless you want me to eat some food? Oh, I guess I've not eaten. No, I have eaten today. How do I just eat a ration? Oh, we don't need to. If the nourishment bar goes down, then we'll eat something, okay? Right, Barrenfield southwest part of the village. I don't want to go to the main square. Northwest part of the village. I want to keep going around the outside. Don't go inside, please. Inspect the clearing to the west. The meadow is lush and colourful, and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes you lead to Shadowmane with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case a hoof falls into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals. Though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. I go to the road leading north from the village. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow, filled with crickets and rodents. I go somewhere else. Actually, take a look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. Okay, so someone tried to trap something in this village, I'm gonna guess. And then we've had reports of Gobbos around here and even activity scene of Gobbos. We don't want to mess with this. Can I just leave now? I can. You enter the wetlands with their many streams, ponds and fish. Large birds run and fly between the grey, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger with teeth and claws is hidden below the water surface. Yes, stay away from the water. That seems sensible. Also, we have 9 hours before dusk, so let's try and make some decent pace here. This plant shouldn't be alive. Not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. Don't! Sacred tree! There's a sacred tree, right? The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now? Or was there a point in time, centuries ago, where they were precisely shaped and decorated by masses of artistry? There's no way to tell. Pardon me, sorry. Charlemagne is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion's eyes see this place through very different eyes. There must be a strong spirit hidden in this tree. Maybe you should bring it a gift. Or smile and scratch the bottom of its neck. Go ahead, I'll look around for a moment. No. Charlemagne, you stay here. I don't quite trust this place. I'm using my scholar knowledge. We think there's a spirit in the tree. You've never seen a soul carrier like this one, but you find a comforting glory in its haunting form. You see it as part of the natural order, an incarnation of death. For many city folk, the only acceptable wilderness includes wild game, flowers, and birch sap, but you know the value of balance, the cycle of all things. You wonder what sort of offerings people bring here. You doubt that an altar like this could play only a ceremonial function. Animals, maybe. Oh. We approach the altar. Don't go to the water. Swamp altar, new entry. There's clumped dirt in the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mould, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-coloured limestone is cold and smooth. I tried to make an offering or I walk away. I honestly think we walk away here. Because I have no idea what it would want. Like, I could give it some coins, but that doesn't feel like it's the right thing. I feel like it almost wants something natural. Then we said, like, you know, it could be some incarnation of death. Like, I don't think we mess with this thing, which we believe is potentially a sacred object, without knowing it. If we talk to some people in the future and they go like, oh yeah, if you offer them Mrs. McGee's finest buttered scones, and that's all, you know, what we've been giving to the tree, then sure, we'll try and do that. Walk away. You don't see any creatures nor humans. Can I just leave? Oh, I can. So the south is a mine. The north is the Howler's den. Take me to the Howler's den, please. You slow down. Among the shrubs, a small pack of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a grey auroch. One of them, with red feathers on its arms, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but doesn't move forward and returns to its meal. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be, satisfied with their prey, or run after you? But if so, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward yet stay safe. The powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. Keep riding, but, you know, keep a distance, and we'll keep an eye over our shoulder. The beaten road serves your palfrey well. The forest to your left becomes sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of among the fruit-bearing trees. On your right, there's a large pasture with at least a dozen massive mouflons. 2 of them, already shared, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast, flourishing fields filled with rye, still green, preparing itself patiently for the second harvest. The path ends with a massive wooden gate. The stone wall separating you from the glow of lights behind it isn't as tall as the roofs, but you can't imagine climbing to its top. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, A sign of many hours of labour, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as a city district. The birds and monkeys are now just a distant echo, replaced with the sounds of carts, running, hammers, saws, laughter and shouts. I don't feel comfortable in large settlements. Let's get this over with, or finally maybe I can rest here. I know we've got 8 hours till dusk, but if this is like one of the major cities, it could take us some time to get our bearings in here, so I'd rather get in earlier, just before nightfall and trying to find some place to rest. And I think finally we can, take a rest here. A young man is leaning against a closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. What is it with people in red hair in this place? Beneath the green gambeson he wears an expensive tunic decorated with colourful trim. From his arm hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin that it's mostly made of wool and leather. He moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. He's standing upright, with his chin up. There are 2 weapons on the ground leaning on the wooden beams of the gate, an axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach for either. You dismount smoothly, still having some vigour left. Shadowmane holds its tail high. Very nice. A narrow path leads north, toward 2 field workers, one with a hoe and one with a pitchfork. Don't make that joke. They wave to you. You can't see their faces, but their clothes are simple. Grey pants and vests, made from hemp and wool. I wave back, why not? Or, it's better to keep some distance, I just approach the guard. I think we keep our distance. Let's just approach the guard. Honestly, I don't want to wave, I just want to give him a little nod. Did anyone else do that? Like the male nod, it's just like, no hugging, no handshakes, it's just like... I mean, I don't know why I just did the gesture, you can't see me. But you'll slightly lift your chin up a tiny little bit. Maybe no more than a centimetre. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes, and has to clear his throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveller. If you're near here to make trouble, Howler's Dell welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is. When he bows, you realise it's a well-practiced performance. If it's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything you need right here, in all colours, shapes and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, robes, or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you we have the fabric you're looking for. His act is over and he glances at your mount in a moment of silence. His eyes get wider and he observes it with childlike fascination. This is Shadowmane. It helps me patrol the roads. You can pet its side if you want, but no sudden movements. Or, I'm Andalono, your new Roadwarden. I want to see your mare. You know what? Make a good first impression. This guy clearly wants to, give Shadowmane a little scratch under the chin. Go ahead. Shadowmane would enjoy this. He follows your instructions. Even though your palfrey pays no attention to the man's careful touch, the guard grins widely. Right, I'm Andalono. I'm your new Roadwarden, and I want to see your mare. A city folk, aye? The mare is busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. He knocks at the gate, which is then pulled inwards by 2 other guards, a man and a woman, wearing their own gambesons, similarly green but tailor-made to match their figures. The nearby buildings are simple houses made of wooden beams and covered with thatch, while the storehouse is even more modest, with a roof made of planks. The watchtower has a ladder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment. The guard strides away before he finishes the last words. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east to a humming creek running through the centre of the village. Oh, that's really cool. Sorry, I didn't notice that on the picture. I thought this was like the road coming in, but it's actually a creek on the right side. Probably not the easiest thing to defend, though, I'd imagine, because my guess is like this little fencing just goes over the river, so you could quite easily, dive and get under it. We'll have to keep our eye out for that. I wait for the return of the messenger. Calming sound, aye? That's Howler's Creek. The guard, like most of the locals, is taller than you. Wide but shallow. There's nae been a flood in years. Pa told me there used to be nae bridges. Neighbours were crossing it with boots in their hands. And 'tis clean like a raindrop, but there are nae many fish. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She can nee come now. A friend of mine is in labour, aye. The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I was asked to show you the village. I nod, fine. He approaches the watt tower. Tie your mount here. We'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbours are getting ready to celebrate. Once he's done, he grabs the rope ladder. The view from up there is gorgeous. I've just been riding on a horse. I'm not sure it's the best idea for me to be climbing up a rope ladder right now. Don't stab him with a knife. We can either climb after him or nod. Think of my knife. If it's a trap, I'll get him first. We just climb after him. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly, like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to make steps and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile. We look around. Oh, cool, I love how he just reveals the map. See? There's nae place like Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks in the pastures, and the shepherds inspecting the fences. The ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself, the sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you have to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer, 'tis excellent. He sounds like a city merchant who's trying to sell an old house. What an annoying kid. Near Hovlevin, you could find 5 larger and richer settlements in less than 2 days. Or, no wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't he be? They've tamed this scrap of land and live in comfort. You know what? That's the second one. This one is too abrasive. Again, we are new in these lands. Don't make enemies. The islet in the middle connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever opened, as it leads nowhere good. As it leads nowhere good. Or nowhere now. Wait, it leads nowhere? Doesn't it go to the old Pagos? As it leads nowhere now. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say that. But anyway, near the eastern gate there's the Ape Ale Inn, where you can find a bed and victuals, and the stores where Akekios rewards or work. Unless when you know him with pointless talk, he lets out a chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek there's another white house. It belongs to Björn, the best clothier in the north. The priests live in the southeast near the wall, but they dinna talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisherman, the miller, the pie maker lives with his sister. Ooh. Saucy, the baker, the smith and her husband, the carpenter live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points at the islet again. There, see? The mayor's coming. The one wearing purple. You're free to join a traveller. Right, I nod and climb down. You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that it's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasturage, surrounded by a wooden fence. A few loose chickens and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewashed coating, surrounded with vegetables, herbs and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for Shadowmane, walking on the wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall painted with the shapes of colourful flowers. Alright, we walk over the second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people observing you, smiling or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Finally, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the centre, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall. Perfect for sitting, but the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. Judging by the tables, stools and benches outside of it, it's open for guests. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you can catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by himself, eating a pie, with a walking stick leaning against the table. A young woman is cleaning the empty mugs in the creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. We need a spot to tether Charlemagne, if you don't mind. There's a wide wooden roof right next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and sacks. You move your mount next to a donkey, to a beam placed here just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Charlemagne starts to chew on the nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. Okay, Charlemagne, you hang out here with your new donkey pal. That sounds wonderful. Look at the mare. She's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. We're really good at telling people's ages. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and the added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mare titters. Do not get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll help Papa in the kitchen, aye? She gives you a radiant though apologetic smile and turns her attention back to her companion. We observe her more closely. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in blue and once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which would draw looks even in Hovleven. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist has a large steel buckle that betrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers, growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and rouged cheeks, and her lips match her outfit. What, purple? Though they're a bit close to wine red. The grey, thick strands on her long, blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the colour of her cape, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though, would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance. Even though her posture is upright, her legs confidently crossed, and her delicate voice assertive. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. I'll wait for as long as it takes, let's be very polite. After a few more minutes, the boy lets out a gentle cough, and after a pat on the back, the mare puts him to the ground. You did a great job, love, but now I need to speak with our guest. Darling, she addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of question or suggestion. Yes, ma'am, she responds. Both the hair and eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of the kids resemble their mother. So we have a Roadwarden again. Please sit down. She shows you vaguely the palm of her open hand, letting you pick any place you want. Do I want to sit next to her as a guest or opposite her? 100%, if I were the Roadwarden here, I'd sit opposite. You have a good look at the inn's front door, leading to a cellar-like ground floor. It's dark with crates and barrels covered with fruits, nuts and vegetables. The actual inn is upstairs, but the only people who go in or out are the workers, most of whom are teenagers. The mayor observes your outfit carefully, maintaining a polite, though cool, smile. Once your eyes meet, she hardly ever looks away. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. I appreciate it. Do not mention it. Hunger makes me peevish, and the day is too nice for that. She taps her chest and looks at a flock of birds that fly above you, loudly heading south. As we're waiting, be so good as to help me understand something. Ever if you're but a mercenary, I can imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. Nay so long after Asterian's disappearance. There's nae glory or treasures to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the forefingers pointing at you. You are sent here by the merchants. They want the peninsula. Be distant. We're going to hide emotions. We're just going to tell her straight. I think she'll respect that. I simply explain the situation. You introduce yourself and confirm your suspicions. The guild and the deputy are in agreement. They are willing to send troops to this place, defend the settlement and patrol the roads. They'd cover their pay. You'd only have to look after their board and lodging. You explain that the rate of taxes is open to negotiations, but they would be taken twice a year, in spring and fall. You have time to think about it, you assure her, and you're free to consult with your people. Safer roads bring many travellers, artisans, merchants. I know you realise it's an opportunity. Yes, I do. She finally interrupts you. But roads bring other people as well. Not all of them are desired by us. As she observes your palfrey, she twists the deer buckle left and right. The times have changed and your superiors were kind enough to send a messenger, not a temple guard with a list of demands. She grasps the buckle with her fists. But when it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. What sort of catch? I'm telling you everything I know. I can't ask you to trust me, but I'm not hiding anything. You don't have to trust anyone blindly. Negotiations can satisfy both sides, or you're speaking from experience. Okay, I think we go with your speaking from experience. I would like to know the background of the story, and this is a good segue into that. Do I really sound that confident? She titters and waves a hand by her chin, as if you're offered a compliment. I've seen such negotiations during my studies, though I can't say I took an active part in them. Let me show you an example. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand, covering her mouth with another, and leans forward and rests on her elbows, allowing her hands to freely make gestures. You make a deal with a settlement. Flour and wool in exchange for coin and tools. You send the first traders and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want more rye. Just the parchment and wool. We can't butcher any more mouflons, the locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn a field of yours into pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts, and she has no issue switching between accents. Honestly, I wish I was like you. I have major problems. I encourage her with a kind smile. She swings a hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coin, a lot of coins, but also seeds. And the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot and there are more highwaymen now. If you want us to come again, you need more mouflons and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? She straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third of her age. Turns out that the village can't say no anymore. They lack supplies, seeds and land. They can't refuse. I nod, she's right. And it's better to not say anything stupid. Don't you think the city would see value in keeping you strong if you risk for them or a smile? I have no doubt that a smart leader like yourself is going to protect people from these games. Wait, straight like an arrow. She's right. The pause doesn't linger for long. I see we understand each other. Let's finish the introductions. I'm Thice, one of the keepers of Ape Ale Inn and the mayor of Howler's Dell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answers back to Hovleven. She wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan? After winter? It depends on what you can sell and what you want in return. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. Brilliant, 4 out of 4 nourishment. The refreshing aroma of roasted mutton, covered with a thick sauce, made of mint, parsley, and honey tempts you to bite in right away. Ooh! Oh, I'm salivating at the thought of this. Sounds delicious. The juices are sinking into the round trencher. A plate made of simple brown bread. Ooh! There's also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes and a sliced boiled egg, and a mug filled with cold buttermilk. Oh, I'm at half-mast right now. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother. And in the end, the innkeeper himself shows up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Thice tears the meat into smaller pieces, then eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Meanwhile, we get to the important stuff. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes in grain and vegetables, with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she claims proudly. So we don't need any of your guards on our walls, but a lone Roadwarden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters willing to patrol the pass, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese and wool, so the mayor spends a good couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer. Especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as those made by Master Crispus. You recognise vaguely the name of this tailor, shoemaker, but you've never earned enough to pay for him as much as a single sleeve. And of course, we'll never reject some steel and bronze. We lack alloys for sickles and scythes. Then she repeats a question about starting a trade route. Truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It's going to take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but you won't find much in the other tribes. They have barely enough to survive. Even after the trade for our crops, for we have the only decent soil in this realm. At least the people of Gale Rocks have salt and barrels of fish, while creeks sell meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been in Creeks yet, the farthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. Alright, map is getting updated. So White Marshes I had as my most northerly type thing with there's something inn, there's a safe inn up there, sorry. So I have Old Pagos above Howler's Den. In the northeast, there's also somewhere called Creeks. I just call it Greeks. The country of Greek is up there. Brilliant. That's not going to confuse me later. She nods with a smile. They could use your help with keeping their roads safe. White Marshes, on the other hand, as well as Old Pagos, are close to worthless. For a trade route, that is. She clears her throat. After these words, she stands up, walks to another table, and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her. Thanks, Mum! And then starts to chew on the soggy bread. She sits down, wipes her hand into a clean cloth, adjusts the folds of her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me, Andolono, how's Hovleven? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. Things stay humble but are starting to look brighter. The harbour is full of life and the kids grow strong. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Not everyone has their own bed, but the new generation is ready to start their own fight, or it's far from great. Children who lost their parents during the war have no trade in hand, and there's not enough settlements to send them away. Many people are unable to prosper. Again, it's kind of hard to answer this one without actually, having the knowledge of living through this, which I don't know is possible. But, again, let's be truthful here. I think this is more realistic. It's far from great. Children who lost their parents during the war have no trade in hand, and there's not enough settlements to send them away. Many people are unable to prosper. Because you do lose, this... There's like a skill gap, almost, from a war. You have all these, men and women that go to war who maybe have learned other skills and are just enlisted into the fight. If they pass away, you might lose, a certain artisanry. It couldn't be easy, not after the blows that landed on that place. That's the thing with the works of humans, isn't it? A house you build for half a year turns to dust with a single storm. A proud city falls, the Emperor's mask shatters. The children from this village, she glances at a young girl cleaning the table, are just as fragile. They have no food, clothes and walls. They have food, clothes and walls, but there will be a time of disaster. And once it strikes, only then they'll take to heart the same lesson that the cities had to learn. And it'll be forgotten again after the next sunny spring. She pauses and looks at you with a sad smile. But don't let me babble any longer. What can I do for you, Andolono? Okay, we're looking for Asterion. She stares you in the eyes, then turns towards Shadowmane. Is your palfrey a mare? We have 2 jacks. Could use some mules. A stallion, so it won't give you anything stronger than a hinny. It is, but I need it to say strong and healthy, or I'm looking for Asterion. No, this time we're not going to let her get off subject for now. We're looking for Asterion. I heard you, but he's not welcome here. Her voice is harsh, and I don't know where he went. We haven't burned him or fought his awoken shell. Wherever he is, a long pause, is not our problem. What are his wrongdoings? If you have to know, he failed. I won't get a second chance. He was meant to escort Aegidia, a daughter of mine, to her betrothed in Gale Rocks. She was a great archeress, and the road from here to the coast is not that dangerous. When they saw goblins on the road, Asterion ordered her to push through, right into their trap. She touches her deer-shaped buckle. They got the jump like a bunch of wealthy pilgrims. A Roadwarden worth their gruel should know better. He can fight with a blade, but my girl, she never had a chance. She sighs and looks at the gate. He disappeared soon after this pitiful attempt at apologizing to me, and we closed our doors behind him for good. I'll let you know if he ever tries to return. Oh, okay. Seems unusual, because I guess, again, it's, third-party sources, but Asterion seemed to be, a decent guy. But, clearly, well, from her perspective at least, Thais' perspective, he's made a bit of a boo-boo there. Did you ever find your daughter, or any ideas where I can look for him? Any ideas where we can look for him? She adjusts her cape with an annoyed shrug. Try asking for him in the north. He spends most of his time between white marshes, Gale Rocks and creeks. Here, he wasn't that eager to share his plans. Okay, did you ever find your daughter? For a few breaths, her green eyes seek something in your face. Her words are careful, yet hesitant. She's with the fogs now. The goblins were after food, so they carried her shell away. One day she's going to charge at her walls, awoken and empty. Even though she was a bit mawkish, her heart was strong and patient. She listened to people, was ready to help them and to cry with them. I could tell you stories, but what for? Let the dead rest. This Fogs is very interesting. So I'm guessing she's been animated as an undead. Is the Fogs just the afterlife? Do people just get, do they just become undead? Is it just something that you have to accept if they're not burnt? You have quite a big family. She titters weakly. At one point there were 12 kids living in our house. 9 girls, 3 boys. They come and go, as it should be. There are already a few with the forest, but most are all grown now, even started their own families. She looks away at a girl wiping spilled milk with a wet cloth. To be perfectly clear, they aren't exactly our children. It's a custom of our village for the mayor to look after the orphans. Thankfully, Eric's has a big heart and much more patience than I do. As she speaks, her smile widens. I'm not going to ask her why did you let him leave. This is a pretty sore subject. We've got the information that we wanted. He's somewhere between Old Pagos, Creeks and White Marshes. Thanks for the help. I wonder, back in Howler, have you spent any time in the backward corner? It used to be this dark, dirty alley, with muggers working even in daylight. I stayed there with Octavia, the miller, in exchange for doing chores for her. She had this small wooden hut. Since the war, even the soldiers avoided that street. People say it's home to thugs. You wouldn't recognise it. It's now a respectable street, and one of the fanciest inns in the city, the Apple and Boar. It would make you feel like you're in the old days. The Boarhead Inn is almost 50 years old now, or it all fell in the Great Fire. Again, I would like to be truthful here, but I don't know which one is the true answer. Do I have anything on this? Oh, I'm creating this. I think. You know what? We need some positivity. It all fell in a Great Fire at first, but now it's been built up and you wouldn't recognise it. It's a respectable street with one of the fanciest inns in the city. You describe how a family of southerners started a large shipyard right next to the alley, working on exotic boats in unusual shapes. Leading hands to work, they offered food and coins to many local thugs, and with time, more light and souls showed up in the alley. As you described the new inn, Faith burst into cheerful laughter. So it's the same family that ran the Boarhead Inn. And to think that I dare to doubt the old lady's endurance. People like her, brave enough to bear the toil of their world, are going to bring salvation to us all. What would it take to make you consider joining Howler? Have you heard of the necromancers in the north? Okay, this I do want to talk about. You seem to be fairly well off, even more so than the people in the village. What's your secret? I don't need to pry. More about the Howler's Den. The ruined village I wouldn't mind knowing more about. I was in Pelt of the North. The innkeeper feels uneasy about Glossier's band. Okay. There are a few things. I actually want to talk about this necromancer thing first. She taps her fingers on the table. Yes, I have. After you ask her to tell you more, she seems to regain her confidence. You mean White Marshes, for sure. I don't know all that much about what's happening there. We avoid their lands if we can. She frowns. I shouldn't gossip about it with strangers. We can talk about it on another occasion. Okay, well she's told me something at least. That Me saying that they were necromancers didn't, immediately say, no, don't be stupid, they're druids. Okay. What about the ruined village to the south? Her tense gaze shifts into an awkward click of her tongue as she leans away from you. I don't even want to think about their tragic fate. No one can negotiate with the wrath of the herds. A long pause, and I better not find you upsetting my neighbours with these sad questions. It was a challenging time for all of us, a wound we won't forget. Okay. But you're not going to tell me exactly what happened. Fine. Oh, the weird tree. She straightens up and raises her chin. You mean Beholder, the guardian spirit of our wetlands? Every fall we bring it our gifts, and in return it provides us with blessed fruit, the flesh of the forest. She stares into your eyes. It's older than the oldest books and the oldest thoughts. The druids help us honour its sleep and show us how to ask for its help. Neither of these rituals, she scoffs, would be of use for you. Okay. You know what? Then I think we did well doing nothing. Okay, Pelt of the North, the innkeeper. When you mention the raids on the northern villages, her eyes narrow. Are you sure? It's the first time I hear about it. Glosia has been around since years back, but she's not much of a nuisance. I'm just a messenger. He asked you to join forces with him. Well, I can't give you my answer. I won't ask our hunters to endanger their lives in the pursuit of some gossip. I don't have time for this. Should I tell the innkeep that you're not interested? Or I'll ask around then and try and learn more about this. Yeah, let's try and learn more about it. She sighs with exaggerated relief. What a splendid idea! There are only 3 villages in the north. White Marshes, further north by the western road, Gale Rocks. Okay. Understood. So Gale Rocks is above the White Marshes. Now I just need to know where Old Pagos is in relation to White Marshes. Right. Creeks is in the far east, I've got that. Bring me news from these places and you'll get my answer. I'm paid for passing a message from here to Pelt of the North. Asking me to ride for you through half the peninsula and back is a different deal entirely. Well, I can do that. I kind of get this first one. It's not even that, it's not like I'm being an ass about it. I was being paid 2 gold. I'm literally endangering my life to go to places that she's described as dangerous. I might be able to get more coin, and we want to make a retirement fund, so you know what? I'm going for this. We were paid to pass the message. I don't want to do all of this. She lets out a brief chuckle, but her eyes observe you carefully. How much do you mean paid, if I can ask? 3 dragons. That's right? And I'll pay you another 3. Fair? Okay, it's fair now. As long as I'm, being paid for it, that's perfectly fine. Tell me, how do people in the city dress these days? Is it similar to what we have here, before the war? The merchants were wearing those really long dresses and robes. Way too long for my taste. They got mud stains after every rain, and I see no reason to keep shoes completely hidden. Not anymore, there's always a shortage of fabric. Most people wear tunics like in the old days. We've mentioned people wear stuff like what she's wearing now. For years, there was not enough hemp and wool at hand, so people started wearing furs. Many folks wear headgears, or I'm not sure, I don't pay attention to fashion. No, there's a shortage of fabric because of the war, so people are wearing tunics. At least we can hope that if the visitors arrive, we won't stand out much, she laughs, but also adjusts her dress, drawing your attention to its superb quality. And who knows, Maybe our little village here is going to help those unfortunate clothiers. I'm sure we could spare a couple of sheets of fabric. Okay. She's waiting for me to learn more about the Raid North, sure. Tell me more about Howler's Dell. It is what it seems like. The greatest village in the far north. She raises her hand and makes an inviting gesture. Though I hope to still improve this and that. She winks at you. But is suddenly interrupted by the painful cry of a little boy, who hurt his knee during a fall. As an amused elder tries to calm him down, the mayor shrugs it off and titters. And then meets your eyes again. Life's good here. We have what we need and a lot of what we want. Building on top of more than 12 generations of hard work and bravery. She spends a good few minutes telling you about the Mouflons, wheat, rye, hemp, cheese and wool, proud of every glimpse of prosperity. Whenever she mentions an artisan, shepherd or farmer, she doesn't miss the chance to mention how significantly she improved their conditions. She also omits some topics. You hear no tales, songs, ancestors, rituals, or days of prayer. It's like listening to a tax collector. Only at the very end of her speech does she mention the wisdom of the elders, now kept in the teachings of the druids, who help her guide those who trust her. They heal our wounds, or gardens, she explains, but then changes the topic to all the fruit trees, hares, and nuts growing in the woods. Once she's done with it, I nod politely. We talk and talk, but I still don't know where you're from, Andalono. What's your story? Have you lived in Hovleven your entire life? In a way, I know it as well as many other city folk, but every spring I trained horsemanship in a nearby village. Only for a bit, I was raised in a small village just nearby and moved to the city after I decided to look as a Roadwarden, or my past is already buried, let's not dig into it. No, we were a scholar outside of the city. We moved into the city because we wanted to be a Roadwarden. We wanted to learn more about the world. We wanted to make our money so that we could retire and drink pina coladas on the beach one day. To see the city for the first time after being surrounded by a couple of small houses and fields, it's a strange feeling, isn't it? She puts her hand on the table. Even after my second winter there, I felt like a stranger. But those who know how to live in the countryside, close to the wilderness, we will always find a new home for ourselves, don't you think? She gives you an encouraging smile. What would it take to make you consider joining Hovleven? I can consider it right now, while she laughs. Her eyes remain keen. But if you want me to give you some answers, let's see. She looks up and to the right, theatrically raising her hand to her chin. Some gestures of goodwill would be a great start. Since you're the guild's messenger, I need to know that you can be relied on. She gives you a wide, white grin. And that's only the first step, I assume. Of course. Are you even in power to handle tax negotiations? She scoffs aloud at your head shake. Do enough for my village, and I'll hand you a beautiful signed letter. A list of all the things my neighbours are looking for, as well as what they can give in return. Your superiors are going to see more than enough to prepare their offer. She rubs her hands. I think that's fair. Yeah, it looks like we're in agreement. Perfect! One more thing though. She puts her elbows on the table, leaning close to you. If you go behind my back, I'm not going to wait for a dagger. I'll end you first. She rests her chin against her open palms, giving you a disarmingly warm smile. I'm sure people already know that we have a new Roadwarden. Maybe ask around if someone needs any help. The more my neighbours trust you and need you, the more willing they'll be offer for better pay. Well, let's start there. What can I do for you? So kind that you ask. Before I ask you to run, let's see how you can walk, shall we? Her eyes wander left and right, and she gestures for a nearby guard to move away. He nods, then gestures at a few souls to follow him. While a few of the locals cast curious looks at you, they turn away as quickly as you notice them. The mayor's shiny green eyes are still locked on you, and her voice close to a whisper. Since Asterian's disappearance, there's little trade on the roads, and not much news reaches us. Be so kind. The flirtatious tone distracts you with how obviously fake it is. and help me learn some interesting tales about our neighbours. I smiled back at her. You mean ones that weren't meant to reach you? See? I knew that deep down you're a true sage. She titters and straightens up, adjusting the cape without haste. You have something to share? The squad that's stationed near the southern crossroads is now nothing more than 2 people. They plan to return to Hovhaven before fall. Sure, let's earn some trust here. Since they cleared that camp of brigands, they went so quiet. I almost forgot about them. She rubs her chin with a thumb. I'm surprised they managed to stay alive till this day. Sending such an inexperienced group here shows that the officials misjudged this land. That's all I can say right now. I keep thinking, surely city folk don't eat just wild game, saltfish and groats. What animals do people breed in nearby villages? Ibexes do well in the hills. There's a lot of mouflons, and the monks need their parchment. It depends, mostly pondfish and fowl, but some can afford to buy boar. There's barely any meat. People are starting to raise crickets and rats. Or whatever people can buy, I guess. I don't eat animals when I can avoid it. Honestly, we need mouflons. Oh, that's terrible. You catch a hint of annoyance in her laughter. Our livestock won't sell well, but that's fine. It's hard to keep the numbers of lambs high. We would need to sacrifice a field to raise a new flock. Okay. She's waiting for me to learn more about the raids in the north. I have no more news to share, so thank you for your time. I'm not going to ask you about, you've been well off. You're the mayor, and your husband seems to run an inn. Alright, we're in front of the Ape Ale Inn. Honestly, I think I'm going to call this episode here. Roughly the hour mark is pretty good timing for me. If you've enjoyed this series, then why not leave a like and subscribe? Everything helps me out. And I'll see you in the next part where we'll go further into Howler's Den and try and find some quests. Goodbye.